Friday, you don't have a job, as Chris Tucker once said, or you probably do, and you're ready to draft some best ball teams because your job is over. That's what we're going to do here tonight. We're going to hop into a best ball draft, but first we're going to run through my portfolio, and my good friend and Spike Weaker, Rob Coakley, is here with us. We're going to hop into a drafters draft in just a little bit, but we're going to walk through. I have not even looked at it yet. You guys are going to get a first sneak peek of how my first 100 and however many teams have gone thus far in 2025 best ball across all the sites, and see where the gaps in my portfolio are, where my big stands are. And we're going to see if I need to maybe course correct to put together a mega stack on drafters, which I think is one of the most powerful things we can do in best ball, overstacking some of these offenses, particularly some cheap ones. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, Rob, as I was saying there in the quick intro, we're going to have some fun. We're going to draft, of course. It's Friday night. I poured me a little cocktail, full transparency. So by the end of the draft, if I'm recommending some crazy things, you'll know why. But I've been drafting a lot of teams with a little bit bigger stacks, what I coined a mega stack, right? A giga stack, whatever somebody might call it. And particularly on drafters in the marathon, maybe in the sprint or something like that, I find it to be extremely powerful, particularly this year. And we'll get into some of that. So I want to see what we can do in a draft a little bit later, putting together some big team stacks that can hopefully have the effects of what we've seen for several seasons, right? The Bucks last year. If you just drafted like every Tampa Bay Buccaneer last year, you probably did quite well. You know, we've had seasons where the Bengals were that way. We've had seasons, remember year one, Geno Smith with Seattle was that way. Like we've had a bunch of those that I think we've kind of lost sight of the power of just like, let's bet on this offense. They crush. And my life is really easy in best ball. You know, of course, if it whiffs, sure. But you can whiff no matter what you do. Stacking, not stacking, small stacking, mega stacking. You can have good teams and bad teams either way. And I think one of the cleanest paths to putting together a team that just crushes both over the course of the entire season and in the playoff weeks is by kind of overstacking, onslaughting, whatever you want to call it. But of course, we're also going to take a look at my portfolio. And I mentioned I have not looked at this yet. I've been trying to draft a bunch of teams, just like, of course, with my rankings and strategy thoughts and all that kind of stuff, but without like over massaging, like diving into my portfolio and being like, oh, I got 18% of this guy and 10% of this guy. I got to, I've been like trying to take the teams I think are best so far. And we've gotten enough volume in now that I think it's time to start like, okay, where are the gaps, right? Because you think you like this team, but a lot of times once you've done a bunch of drafts, you may be underexposed to that team or player or strategy or whatever. So going to take a peek at that.
Yeah. And what could go wrong by tipping your strategy of what you're going to do in a draft, especially when it's overstacking one particular team? Yeah. It can only line up perfectly for us from here. And as far as the portfolio, you're correct. I think that first month is basically, you should just be hammering whatever you feel you're got a little bit of an edge on. And then come June 1st, a little bit on, that's when you can start to massage out numbers that you want to massage out. Some of them you don't want to. Some of them you want to, keep compiling a huge number on. And that's how I like to play the game.
Yeah, Will Shipley is my highest known player, and I actually feel like I'm very light on Will. Like, we'll look at this and be like, man, he really likes Will Shipley. And I'm like, I haven't gotten Will Shipley enough onto teams because he's the price is not going to get cheaper. So I'm going to try to keep buying. Naturally, doing a bunch of drafts on stream, as our good friend South says, every time he's in a room with me, he just clicks Will Shipley into the queue right away. And so I will, it's very unlikely that one of us gets Will Shipley tonight, but it is interesting. It's funny you say that. A lot of the drafts I do try to come in with that strategy, and I found you're not going to get drafting on stream with a bunch of people love to troll you or whatever, but it ends up leading me into some different builds, especially as it pertains to like stacking an offense, to where, look, I have my favorite offenses, you have yours, a lot of people have different offenses that they like more than us. But it may lead me to like maybe seeing some things that like everybody knows I like Will Shipley. Everybody knows I like X offense or X player or whatever. And I can get some different stuff that I may not, in a normal draft. If I drafted 2 hours ago by myself on the couch, I wouldn't get that. And I actually find that to be, I don't want to like do that in every single draft, but a kind of a helpful exercise to like go in and kind of, people talk about letting the room, dictate kind of where they go with their value and such. But sometimes in this way, it can be really helpful to see some things that you maybe would not have seen if you didn't like think a little outside the box and have somebody like push you in a direction that makes you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's definitely part of it. And the other part of it is what I like to do when I'm doing this, starting in June, because you can't do this right away. I'm starting to go through our Spike Week tools and look at some of my opponent combos. And I'm trying to find the offenses that aren't stacked together frequently, like which QBs are not getting drafted with other QBs. That way I can find out which teams are not getting stacked a ton. And I did that earlier, and just it's still early, but the one that shocked me the most is people are doing, I believe it was a lot of Buffalo with Detroit is one of the biggest 2-team correlations that I saw. It's like 17% of the time of my opponents are drafting Buffalo, or well, 17%. It's Josh Allen with Jared Goff, which I didn't particularly look at every team that did that, but I mean, you would assume there's some stacking going on there as well. So when I'm overstacking, it's like, okay, well, can I overstack? And then can I get like a sort of other stack with a team that's not typically getting stacked with this particular team? And that's something I want to start working on a little bit more as well.
It's one of the great things that gets overlooked. That's like such a basic, simple edge, right? That's like, okay, if a lot of these Buffalo teams have Lion stacks next to them, you may like both of those stacks, but maybe do them a little less together than everybody, right? If 17% of our opponents are putting, Goff and Allen stacks together, I'll do it 5%, right? 5% of my Allen teams have Goff, and then I spread my Allen stuff, right? And I spread my Goff stuff to other teams. And it's like you can get overweight both of those offenses, but just do it in a slightly different way than other people do. It's the perfect like combination of, you can still have your player takes, right? People want to come in and I love this offense, or I love this player, I love this quarterback. Great, do that, but then also do it in a way that your opponents are not doing. The ideal is that like your favorite offenses are not being put together, right? That's great. Nobody's taking, again, I haven't looked at this. Nobody's taking, I really like the Jaguars and the 49ers this year. If I had to put maybe my two favorite teams, they're near the top. And so if nobody's doing them together, great. But if they're very popular together, then it's like, okay, now maybe I want to do a little less Brian Thomas with George Kittle to set those guys up. Like, maybe I'll get my big George Kittle bags, but maybe a little less frequently with a Brian Thomas or something like that. I do want to hit this question from Massive Audio for Underdog and DraftKings. What is the max you will stack for one team? I'll let you go first because I have some thoughts on this as well, but I want to get yours.
So not everything is the same price is what I'll start with. It's tough to say that. If we're saying like with price built in, I particularly don't like to go more than 5. Basically try to get 2 to 3 of the pass catchers, the quarterback and the running back. But I mean, that's really price dependent. I'm never going to do it with the Philadelphia Eagles, because now we're talking about just the amount of draft capital that you're having to put in to get that entire team stack is insane. So I would say 5, 6 tops. Obviously, I'm never going 7. I mean, that just seems like you're going too insane. But I mean, 5, I think, is standard. 6, if you really want to throttle it once or twice with a team. And generally, we're looking at 4 is probably the key number for when you're trying to get a good team stack, is my answer.
I would say the overwhelming majority of my like mega stacks, like we're talking about here today, are actually 4-man stacks. And so why is that, right? Okay, because I want to get the quarterback. I want to get a running back. That doesn't have to mean, to your Eagles example, that doesn't mean necessarily Saquon, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, right? Dallas Goedert. It could be Will Shipley. The Eagles are difficult, to your point. Dallas Goedert comes into play a little bit there, and Will Shipley comes into play where you can get two pieces that are a little bit cheaper. But this question that you alluded to is so much about price. It's of course about site and format too, right? So there's been some great conversation in the Discord, which of course, if you're not a part of the Spike Week Discord, there is a link in the description. You get access to a handful of channels for free. But if you're a premium subscriber, you get access to the whole kit and caboodle. There's like a million channels with thousands and thousands of messages a day. Or if you don't want to subscribe to the tools, you can pay just $5 a month and get access to the full Discord. They're talking about Eliminator a lot, and I'm fascinated by this year's Eliminator. And of course, in the Eliminator, when you're playing head-to-heads every single week, you don't necessarily I do want to bet on offenses in the Eliminator. Like the last year's Bucks are really powerful in that format, but you don't necessarily want like $5.
Right.
But it's not because you don't want $5 on the same team because like, oh, what if they have a bad game? It's not that. It's because of bye weeks. Like I only get to draft 18 players. If 5 of them are on bye and I'm playing a head-to-head, I'm at a huge disadvantage, especially when it's probably like a quarterback, right? An expensive wide receiver. Like a lot of my key pieces are on bye in the same week in that format. In, Best Ball Mania, in the DraftKings Millie, we get to 20 rounds. I think I can get to 5. My 4 number maybe becomes 4.5, right? The over-under is 4.5 on that, on a DraftKings or something like that. But I think that there's just a lot of power in putting these offenses together, especially if you do it very price sensitively. Like our opponent, to your kind of, again, bringing this all full circle together, our opponents will build from the front to the back. They will say, I drafted Saquon Barkley, I'm queuing AJ Brown, and then I'm queuing Jalen Hurts, and then I'm queuing Devontae Smith. And they build their whole team stack from the beginning. But we can build through cheaper offenses like a Jaguars, like
last year's Broncos.
Last year's, like there's a bunch of them, right? Last year's Patriots failed. Last year's Broncos was an absolute smash. We've had, like, again, the Seahawks a couple of years, like year one of Geno Smith, the Seahawks were all just totally free because everybody thought Geno was going to tank. That's what happened with Baker, right? Year one, Baker in Tampa Bay, people are like, oh no, Brady's gone. Baker, what are we going to do? And then again, with the Bucks, they were a little bit more expensive, but they were not expensive enough to where you cared, especially then when it's Bucky Irving, who's very cheap, when it's Cade Otton, who's very cheap, when it's Baker Mayfield, who's very cheap. The cheaper you get, the bigger that number becomes to this question. And so I generally am very I hope I don't have let's just go ahead and look it up. Actually, I don't think I have a team with Jamar Chase and T Higgins on it. I don't think, but we'll see really quick. Oh, I lied. I have $10. I have $10 on, I'm a fraud. I have $10 on Jamar Chase and T Higgins together, but that is a very popular combination. We can pull that up as well in a minute. But those are the kinds of things that the field does like a ton, right? They're like Jamar Chase, give me T, give me Burrow, give me Chase Brown, give me all the Bengals. And that's when I can still stack the Bengals. I'm not saying don't draft Joe Burrow on Jamar Chase teams, but I want to be like, okay, how can maybe Gesicki fits really well on this team. And that's the other thing I just wanted to shout is tight end is like a hugely powerful position in these mega stacks, because if you hit on this offense, even if the tight end's not awesome, like Cade Otton is just like total fucking oatmeal, right? As a tight end. But like when the Bucks are humming and Baker's throwing 45 touchdowns, he'll just drag that dude along. That cheap tight end gets drug along and is much more impactful than maybe his like actual skill set, like a Jake Ferguson, right? When Dallas was crushing and Dak was throwing a bunch of touchdowns, Jake Ferguson got drug along so much so we took him in the 7th round the next year. Now he's back cheap again because Jake Ferguson's just Jake Ferguson. But if Dallas crushes, the random 10 touchdown season out of Jake Ferguson. So tight end is another like really important factor to me.
Is Jake Ferguson the most tight end name that's ever tight ended for a name?
Cade Otton's a sexier name. If your name is less sexy than Cade Otton, then you are definitely the most tight end of all tight ends.
Yeah, for sure. And Dallas is a good team to do this with this year as well, because you can do, to your point, the running back thing several different ways. It's a bit gross. I don't particularly love any of the Dallas running backs, but I'm drafting the 2 grosser ones, which is very opposite what I usually do.
Who's the grossest? Who?
Well,
They're all so bad. I don't know exactly who you're talking about when you say the two grossest.
I think Javonte and Miles Sanders are pretty gross and very like counterculture to what I do.
Yeah.
But I just don't think the Jaden Blue thing is going to work out. I mean, and that's just me trying to IKB it a little bit more in this specific situation. But I think, look, 20 rounds, Miles Sanders, you get Dak, you get CeeDee Lamb, you can get Ferguson cheap. You don't even have to get Pickens on this team, or you don't have to get Lamb on this team. And it's probably better if you're overstacking the Cowboys without Lamb, because the people that are stacking heavily the Cowboys are probably doing it with Lamb a ton.
Interesting.
Because it's just like there's certain wide receivers that you draft in the first round that you just lock and load a quarterback in your head. And as soon as you draft CeeDee Lamb, your brain goes, I'm drafting Dak Prescott on this team.
100%.
Right. And if you just pass him up, I'm not saying do this every time, but do this a few times. You take George Pickens, you set up taking Dak Prescott, you get Ferguson, you take whichever of these shitbag running backs you want to grab for the team. And then there's your 4 pieces for the Dallas Cowboys right there. Right. And you still have access to CeeDee Lamb through Dak Prescott a little bit, and you just get the entire offense. So, or maybe you get the entire offense depending on what the running back.
Well, that's the hope, right? Is you get the entire get the entire offense, at least for stretches. You get the entire offense for stretches, right? That's the great thing about like mega stacking offenses. You don't even have to be perfect. Like you might feel like you need to be perfect. Like I got to pick all the right pieces. You know, I got to pick Miles Sanders versus Jaden Blue versus Javonte Williams, and it's like not really, right? Like you just need to at some point in this season. That's the Bucs. That's 100% the Bucs. It was actually the best pick for the first 6 weeks on the Bucs was Chris Godwin. Mike Evans was probably not a great pick. It was Baker and Godwin, right? Through 6 weeks or whatever. If you had Baker Godwin stacks and no other Bucs, you were like, oh shit, yeah, baby. Like this is wheels up, right? Baker was crushing. Chris Godwin was the wide receiver 2 in all of fantasy when he got hurt. And like the writing was probably on the wall for Bucky, but it hadn't happened yet. And so then Chris Godwin goes down. It's like you actually could have still won all the money with Chris Godwin on your teams because he crushed for those first 6 weeks, passes the baton to Evans, to Otten, to Jalen McMillan, and Rachaad White passes the baton to Bucky. And it's like you're just getting all these points over the course of the whole season. They don't always have to come like from week 1 to week 17. It doesn't have to be the same guy. Like it doesn't have to be the same guy. I'm not saying handcuff your running backs. I'm not saying I will get to the question about handcuffing your tight ends. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying don't, but I'm saying it can be this weird, like that's the Bucs are the perfect example. It was like Godwin for 6 weeks, then Evans and McMillan, then Bucky, and then everybody fucking got hurt. And it was Cade Otton for like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's like Cade Otton wasn't very good, except he just took on the full brunt of the passing game for a small stretch. And like, that's enough. Right, especially on drafters, especially in the marathon. And if it happens in, the playoffs of Best Ball Mania, great. But there's just like all these different ways you can win by kind of like just betting the farm on an offense.
I have 2 hot Bucs takes. I don't know if this is the show for it, but for one of them to go with what you are saying to make it part of the show, I think there's 3 running backs you can draft in Tampa as well. I think that if you want to stack Tampa, Sean Tucker not getting drafted in the majority of drafts is absolutely stupid, right? Like you should be drafting Sean Tucker at a reasonable clip in the 20th round.
16% Sean Tucker, 13 on Underdog, 23 on DraftKings, 16 on drafters. And I kind of feel like it would be higher. I will say the exposure, I'm in a bunch of slows that are ongoing and I haven't gotten to the end. So these numbers might get bigger on like the Shipleys and the Sean Tuckers, but you can see he's up there in my exposure. I'm with you on Sean Tucker.
Yeah, absolutely insane. The other thing is I had an epiphany last week on Mike Evans. This is just a player take. My last memory of Mike Evans last year were them trotting him out like a Make-A-Wish kid to get his 1,000-yard season. And I think that it might just be done for Mike Evans. Like that's what I remember from Mike Evans at the end of last year. I'm just like, they were just trying to get him one more. And I'm like, and then they drafted Buka. And I'm just like, I had this epiphany because I had been drafting Mike Evans. And I'm like, I think this is just bad overall. Like based on where he's going, I think this is just bad. And I've been a Mike Evans guy, as you know, for years and years and years. And I'm just like, I think it's over. I think it's over. So that's there's your one player take for this show.
I like it. Well, I'm gonna need more player takes if we're gonna be here for another hour or whatever. But it's the Evans thing is so interesting because I find Tyreek to be the guy that everybody's really fixated on. Like, oh, is it over? Is it over? Because it's really easy to do the is it over thing when we see a down season for an older player, right? When we see Keenan have a down season, when we see Devontae have a down season, when we see whoever have a down season, the natural like human way to react to that is, oh shit, is he not as good now? But it also like you did this last year, like perfectly, right? You were fading Tyreek last year. Tyreek was off of an unreal season, right?
Yeah.
Like he was the 104. Tyreek was the 104 in draft. It'd be like fading Justin Jefferson this year, right? Like it's like he was a superstar in Miami, but it was like you want to, as our good friend Lord Reeves, Rich Rebar says, like skate to where the puck is going. Don't be the kid in Little League Soccer that's hovering around, right? You're in the big crowd. Go away and let somebody pass you the ball. And I've been starting to feel like that a little bit with Evans, to your point, and a couple other guys, but with Evans, where I'm like, I'm just drafting him because I do like the Bucs and whatever. But it's like everybody's using Ibuka as an indictment on Godwin and on McMillan, of course. And I get that. But like, what if like they saw that maybe Evans isn't quite as good? He did get dinged up last year, right? And it's like we're doing the Tyreek thing, but nobody seems to say that about Mike Evans because we don't quite have the writing on the wall yet. And it's like I would rather be there before the writing gets on the wall than wait till next year when it's over, because then he's going to be cheap and it's not going to be as powerful to fade that guy.
Yeah, and that was sort of the thought process with Tyreek last year. So I'm a year ahead on that whole situation. But
are you buying now? Are you just really mind fucking everybody and buying him now, or are you just staying the course?
I'm staying the course because we've been talking about this for about a month. I've been sort of teasing it, and I should probably just write it. But I think there's a lot of like quote unquote falling knives in the draft this year. One of them's rising up, and the first one was CMC when he was going like in the second round. And what I've been telling everyone is like, you don't have to follow my lead on these guys for sure. But I don't think you should have, at the time, you should not have had 8% CMC. I don't think you should have 8% Tyreek Hill. I think you should have 0% that guy or 20+% that guy. Like these guys, Tyreek is not a third round pick. Tyreek is either a first round pick or he's dusted. And you have to sort of make that decision on guys. I'm starting to think Mike Evans is that guy right now. I still think CMC is there. I think there's a couple other players throughout the draft. Maybe like later on, Debo is a decision you need to make if you want to try. Like, I don't think Debo's properly priced. I think he's either too cheap or, he's just dust. And there's a couple other guys that are younger that fit this. Jaden Reed, I think, is
fun with some Packers takes here today.
Yeah, I just think like Jaden Reed is phenomenal. The Packers sort of put the ankle weights on him, as a Naruto.
And he's not very big, so he's gonna sink to the bottom if he's got ankle weights on. He's a small guy.
Yeah, but if they ever let him do the Rock Lee and just take the ankle weights off, he's gonna just absolutely explode.
Did you use ankle weights when you were younger? Like when you're an athlete?
Yeah.
Remember, we're the ankle weights generation, right?
Yeah, do they not use them anymore?
Hell no, it's horrible for you. It's that we grew up in the generation where I bought the bullshit, like, so I'm a 6 foot white kid, right? So I'm not like I was athletic, but I wasn't like, God didn't give me all the amazing physical abilities, but I thought I wanted to play in the NBA or play college basketball or whatever. And so I did, saved up the money, right? Mowed some lawns and bought the ankle weights and bought the like jump, you would like get the jumping system or whatever that gave you the workouts that you had to do to like, we guarantee you're going to gain 12 inches on your vertical leap or whatever. And I'm like, I want to dunk because I'm a small white kid and I can't dunk. And like, I did all of that bullshit. And now you fast forward and it's like, have you ever seen LeBron James wearing fucking ankle weights? Like, no, it's terrible for you. It's horrible for you.
Yeah. So basically,
I did not get those shoes. Remember the shoes that had the like on the front of them? I forget what the hell they were called. but to their basketball shoes, but instead of like a platform or whatever, it was on the front part of it. There was like a little, like almost like plunger type thing that was on the front. And if you because you walked on it, then you walk like a ballerina on your tiptoes, and it was supposed to strengthen your calves and stuff for jumping. Another thing that's been proven to be like fucking horror, like the worst thing you can do. And people were making bank selling that to us idiots from our generation.
Just because we wanted to dunk.
Yes.
I think I had like
all the stupid small unathletic kids.
I had like a 4-month window where I could just barely dunk, just barely get there.
Jump soles. So I couldn't palm the ball. By the time I got to like junior year of high school, I could jump high enough, but I don't have big enough hands to palm the ball, and I couldn't quite jump high enough to dunk with 2 hands. So it was like I was the guy who would go up, you carry it up like this, and then you kind of lose it, and then you grab the rim and it goes in. I was that guy that I was like, see, I dunked it. And they're like, brother, that was a fucking finger roll. Stop it. Like
we could edit that video though for you. I could get 100%. That. I could edit that for you.
Nowadays, I can make anybody believe I could dunk. I'm at the local Y several times a week. I can still touch the rim, but we ain't dunking, but I'll make a video. Yeah. Shout out Big Draft Energy. I think going live here in a little bit. Make sure you subscribe to his channel too. And he's 6'8". So
6'8". What do they make his ankle weights out of? Fucking mattresses?
Yeah, exactly. The cement blocks. Just straps those to like the catcher guards. You know how the catchers wear the guards behind their knees or whatever? They just put a cement block behind his calf there. Good Lord. What this is like Pat and I did a few weeks ago, did a Friday night like just draft stream. We were just ripping some drafts in lieu of a normal Legendary Sickos, and it was everybody in the chat was fucking from Delaware, and I was like, really? why are there was like 10 people from Delaware on a random Friday night watching a Spike League and Legendary Upside best ball stream. It's the same thing tonight. There's a bunch of tall people. Why is everybody so fucking tall in the chat?
I'm 5'10", and I'm usually like fine in a room. The only time I remember ever being like feeling like I was short in a room was at our Roto Grinders party when everyone was just 6
There's
foot.
A lot of tall. Yeah.
Rebar's like 7 feet tall.
I think people think Rich is like 5'8", and he's like really tall.
He's so tall.
I know. Yeah, it floored me the first time I saw him too. I'm like, Rich, you do not look 6'3" on camera.
Yeah, it's wild. Absolutely wild.
I mean, Means played basketball at Duke. He's like 6'6" or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of tall people. That was funny. Anyway, on to some best ball stuff. I pulled up on the screen, of course, in our Draft IQ tool. If you have never seen this before, you haven't subscribed to the tools, this is, of course, you've probably seen the Draft Hacker, which we'll show when we do our draft here in just a few minutes. An overlay, right, that overlays the customizable information that you want to see while you're in your draft. But the first tool we ever built was this Draft IQ tool, and I love it to be able to just dig into everything that you're doing and your opponents are doing in your drafts. But I pulled up CMC before, and you saw I believe I have $8 invested into CMC. So I'm almost certain it's a Schnauzer and a Superflex team with CMC there. But then to your point, Tyreek is a guy who I am kind of taking not like a mega stand on, but I'm going to be overweight Tyreek Hill. That is my plan. I'm fully accepting the fact that could turn to 0. I acknowledge it could just be over for Tyreek Hill, but I also think in the 3rd round when he's going after Terry McLaurin and after Garrett Wilson and after Jackson Smith and Jigba, that I can get like, what if last year was just like a weird Dolphins year? Tua got hurt. The offensive line maybe gets better. Tyreek had a broken hand or whatever that he was playing with. Like,
yeah, because he got slammed to the ground by the police on the way to week 1.
Yes, exactly. That video still floors me, by the way. When a grown man that's worth a lot of money is like, Janu, please don't leave. John, like, it felt like me when I was 16, that got pulled over for underage drinking or something like that. Like, I was like, man, that was a gut wrenching thing to watch. And I am not a Tyreek Hill guy, but I just think that like the upside, right, is it's pretty clear that like last year was not, he's still Tyreek, and last year was not indicative of who he is. So in the 3rd round, but if you wanted to say, last year is indicative of who Tyreek Hill is, I think your point is spot on, that's the kind of guy, like like I do. Obviously, you see 8% on DraftKings, but overall, I have 15% Tyreek Hill, and I'm pretty comfortable with somewhere, in that range, 15, 20, something like that will probably be where I land on
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill.
definitely one of the, like, there's just those guys that I just don't think you should be at relative expected ownership levels with him. He's clearly mispriced one way or the other. So if you
Yep.
decide to be at 20%, I understand it. If you decide to be at 0%, I understand it. I just think that being middle of the road with guys like that is clearly bad.
I'm with you. I do just want to say, Disco says he wears size 17s and collects sneakers, and he's in Canada. So good luck in your venture as a fellow sneaker collector who wears 11, size 11. I can only imagine how hard it is with size 17.
Don't they wear like tennis rackets for sneakers in Canada? So those are some big
I
tennis
didn't even know
racket
that they
shoes.
knew what good sneakers were in Canada. Do they send you Jordans in Canada? I don't think that works. Jordan probably said, though, once upon a time Canadians buy sneakers too. I imagine has come out of his mouth at some point. Michael Jordan going back to talking about basketball next year. I can't believe, like, he must be bored. That dude must be bored.
Probably.
To go on TV talking about basketball. But let's just run down really quickly some of kind of my top exposures. And then I do want to look at, like you said, some opponent stuff. And then one of my favorite tabs, just like for a quick and dirty, is this exposures tab, because it's not necessarily micro player level. You'll see in a second what it looks like. But this is, so far, I'm pretty happy with how this is kind of all coming together. You can also kind of see where I have them ranked versus ADP, and this is why they are what they are. Jordan Mason, probably the one guy that stands out in terms of the difference. It's not that much, but he just stands out in that range so much. His rank is not that far ahead of ADP, specifically because I have a bunch of quarterbacks. Like, I have a bunch of quarterbacks ahead of ADP, but it's also being driven by DraftKings, where he's not at 99.8. He's past pick 100 on DraftKings, where I have 36% Jordan Mason. Obviously, we don't got to do the Will Shipley conversation again. You can see my drafters shit, because drafters is all like the spike weekers. I can't get this dude. I'm not gonna, if Saquon gets hurt, I'm gonna do all right on these other two sites. All you guys are gonna win on drafters, because I can't get Will Shipley on drafters to save my life. But Rashee Rice, I think I moved him up again in the rankings, up to 20th overall, just with the really positive health news that we've gotten about him. Tyler Algier, again, I think is just criminally underpriced. Trey Harris, Jarquez Hunter, CD, is probably a little bit of a surprise, a first-round player on there, but I have him ranked second, and he goes fifth and sometimes falls later. So I just get a lot of CD.
Mason and Rice are two guys that I'm a little jealous on, because I should have more on both of those guys than I do. I don't know my exact number, but I know I don't have enough at the moment.
Rashee and Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
I've been making Rashee, especially. Mason is just kind of like, how I draft. I am drafting the early running backs more this year. But he's also just in that range where I'm like, he's just the standout running back for me, from like pick 90 to pick 110. And so when I need a running back, it's just like, well, Jordan Mason, come on down again. And Rashee has been a lot more intentional, that I've been really trying to make sure I get a good clip of him.
I've been getting him, but I should have been pulling him up a bit more than I have. So I feel like I've missed a window on that, and I'm a little mad at myself for it.
K Sizzle says it's his fault I have 70% Shipley. You're welcome. He's the best pick on the board, and I can I take no shame. This is not a Trey Lance, Darrington Evans situation. Will Shipley is just an actual good. I promise. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I'm saying he's a good pick. I'm very, very confident in that. There's your Sean Tucker. Ricky Pearsall is. I don't know how I feel about this one, because he's going to keep. It was one of those where I think he's just a really good pick, and I'm very bullish on the Niners and setting up Purdy. He falls in a great range to set up Brock Purdy. But now with the injury, like especially on DraftKings, he's going to fall a little bit, which is fine. I'm just going to have an even bigger bag of Ricky Pearsall, because when the market's going to keep giving him to me at cheaper prices, I'm just going to keep buying, because I don't really care about a June a June injury. He's going to be back for training camp, and it's going to be all good. And we're going to like, how many times do we have to do this? Where it's like it's not a serious injury, and then we look back in week 12 of the season, and we're like, why did that guy fall again? Like, why? Jamar Chase couldn't catch the ball in the preseason, and he fell. Like, that stuff happens so much. So I'm just going to keep buying those kinds of guys.
Why do you hate Juwan Jennings?
I don't hate Juwan. He's up here. So the 49ers, you see Kittle there. You see Jordan James. Let me.
Is Curtis Samuel still better than Juwan Jennings? The world wants to know.
Listen, the L has been taken. I don't want to fucking talk about it anymore. God, I've taken some mega L's over the course of the last few years, and that one was was a hilarious one.
That 40-point game brought me to life.
When he did that, I was like, I understand why people have mental health issues, because I was just sitting there the whole time being like, this is my own personal hell. Like, this is I have to go do in 12 hours. I have to go do a show with someone who we argued all summer about who was better between Curtis Samuel and Juwan Jennings, and he just dropped a 50 burger. And Curtis Samuel's running 6 routes.
Curtis Samuel's running the practice squad at that point.
Curtis Samuel's watching Mac Hollins run routes, and Juwan Jennings is dropping 50 fantasy points.
Yeah,
in a game.
We joke about it, but I think that's like an important lesson that I try to keep in mind is just player types, especially in that range of the draft. I mean, they were going in completely different spots last year, but I'm just saying, like, in that 7th, 8th round where Curtis Samuel was going last year, you just don't want a 7th or 8th round Curtis Samuel, and there's a few of those, I think, this year that you just kind of want to avoid. Cough, Raiders, if you're on the Raiders.
I love it. Chase, the first person in our chat that doesn't love Will Shipley. The one thing I would say to this is I have no problems if you're not as high on Will Shipley, but you cannot say Will Shipley is mid and then mention AJ Dillon as a reason as to what, like, there is no more mid. I get he has big legs, but AJ Dillon is atrocious. He's very bad at football.
AJ Dillon would take it as a compliment if you called him mid.
Yes, exactly.
He would be stoked.
Dude, would you like an autograph?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, 100%. So
I will pay you $10 to autograph this football for you. Is what AJ
exactly.
Dillon would say.
Somebody ask me, please, for an autograph. The sir who thinks that I'm like not the worst running back in the league. He's closer to that than he is to a good player. Doesn't mean that Will Shipley is correct. Doesn't mean your take is wrong. But AJ Dillon is not a reason to, like, Will Shipley got very real draft capital and got on the field last year. They let Kenny Gainwell go because they had him, in tow. He catches passes. So AJ Dillon just doesn't quite provide a lot of that. And I would enjoy seeing Saquon leave and watch AJ Dillon like still somehow be the running back for the Eagles and average like 3 yards per carry. Like that would be a treat to watch someone be that bad in that situation, because it
sounds
really
like
hard.
The Eagles would love to play him in that situation.
100%.
The Eagles are just the old Patriots. Remember when the Patriots would just bring in that aging veteran wide receiver for camp and they would retire by the end? It was Ocho Cinco. It was Reggie Wayne. It was like all these guys, they would come in for camp and they'd retire. That's what the Eagles are doing with running backs now. It was Rashad Penny. Now we're getting AJ Dillon. He'll retire by the end of camp or something, and that'll be that.
100%. There you go. He can do that. I don't give a shit. He push Jalen Hurts across the line. That works. I don't think that there was any like I said, I actually feel pretty good about where things stand. There was a good question because you do see some of these guys up here. From D-Lou says you would take Sean Tucker over Woody Marks and Taj Brooks. I believe I would. I have 195. Sean Tucker. Where's Woody? He's up here close. 196. So they're pretty close. I haven't been taking Taj. Oh, you did just say, see, I've Taj pretty low. Taj is a guy who I really like as a prospect. So it's a good question. I'm glad you brought him up. He also came up on the Zero Running Back episode I just posted today with myself, Sean Siegel, and Calm Kelly from RotoViz. They love Taj Brooks, which made me like really triggered because I'm specifically waiting. And I think this is the right move, is waiting on those guys. Those are mistakes that I made in the past where I like a player and he has this kind of like, all he has to do is beat out Samaje Perine and Zach Moss. Like, this is like the Evan Halls and the whoever's, like these running backs that I like more than market. And then they, most of the time just wither away to nothing. Like he's a 6th-round pick. Like he's probably just nothing. And if we get the news over the course of the next 2 months, I can pile in, like just full ape in to Taj Brooks and take him in every draft, take him ahead of ADP, because he's just not going to rise enough to where it matters to me. I'm dedicating my spots to the what do we say, Jarquez Hunters, to the Woody Marks, to the Sean Tuckers, that I just like, I know what they are, right? I know what they are right now. I can wait out the news on guys like Taj Brooks. And then when I get any signal, right, when I get any signal that like he's a real thing, it's just he's going to move from 240 to like 180 in the ranks, and it's going to be take him in every draft.
Yeah, but the answer is you can draft all of them, right?
That's
you
true.
could because you can draft 2 of these guys on your team. You can hit both of them 17th, 18th round if you're pushing running back for like a 0 RB build where you're getting some of the ones further back. There, you don't have to look at it as I'm taking this guy over this guy. You can get a good amount of exposure to all 3 of them. And the follow-up question was, even with a Bucky injury, you still have Rachaad White. Yeah, that's the NFL at this point in time. But we know that there's a Sean Tucker role for him with an injury, and maybe even without an injury. He still might have some like breakout games here and there just because they like to use him even with Rachaad White and Bucky Irvin on the field. It's not as like, attainable, but like when he has one of those 2 injuries in front of him, he's going to get a workload. They're not looking for him to be a full-time. That's not how they're running their offense in the first place. I mean, if you're using that logic, that you could just use it with Bucky Irving as well.
Right.
Right.
The same logic would say to not draft Bucky Irving, because Rachaad White's going to like, he played last year. He's going to play this year, but Bucky's good. And Bucky's better than Rachaad White, right? And he's really efficient. Sean Tucker is if something happens he has 2 win conditions, and 3, right? Both of them get hurt, and it's like he's the best pick ever. But if one of them get hurt, right? So he has outs to 2 different guys, or they just finally decide, right? Maybe Sean Tucker develops as a pass blocker or whatever, and they just say, Rachaad, enough. You're terrible. Like, we're gonna go to Sean Tucker. He just has a bunch of win conditions. I like Woody. Woody, like as you saw, Woody Marks is up here. Also, Woody Marks is one of the best picks ever to celebrate in season, because the Woody from Toy Story GIFs that you can post in Discord or on Twitter or wherever you like to do your victory lapping are just absolutely legendary. So you have to get a requisite bag of Woody Marks just for potential celebration purposes. But I'm in on Woody Marks. I have 0 problem. I mean, I have 15% total. Right, 26 on DraftKings. Yeah, right. Like I'm taking all those guys, right? So I have 16% Sean Tucker and 15% Woody Marks, and I think that the point about one Chase Brown injury and Taj is a league winner is a potential, like that's possible, but like Taj has to make the team first. Like, we're not even into Taj has not made the team yet. They have 3 veteran backs. Obviously, Chase Brown is making the team. Samaje Perine is almost certainly making the team, and they just did restructure Zach Moss. That doesn't mean Zach Moss is going to make the team, but like he's going to have to beat out one of those guys, or they're going to have to keep 4 running backs. And then like, what does it look like when Chase Brown gets hurt? It's just a level of uncertainty. So I'm waiting out some of that news to figure out some of that uncertainty. I'm hoping that Taj Brooks is that thing, and you can draft him. Absolutely. But I just think that it's very clear with Tucker especially, and Woody Marks to a lesser degree, like how this is going to shake out.
I'm drafting Taj Brooks. I'm just not getting out of hand with it, which is, I think, what we've done in the past. And I'm speaking for myself and others. I think I'm speaking for you as well, where we get so certain of some of these like Taj Brooks situations that we're like, well, this has to be it. And then we end up with like 40% by the end of June of a guy, and to even balance out the exposure when it's like, well, he's running with the JV team down at the community college, and you're like, oh shit, that's probably not going to work out so well then. So you have to sort of backtrack, and you still get 20% if you don't take any more of them.
And I of course know Chase Brown's like draft profile and stuff, Chase Brown didn't pop right away. Right. Yeah. Like Kyron didn't pop right away. Right. So these guys would be examples for Taj Brooks needs some time. Like this Jawar Jordan, right? There's as many, these guys are the exception, not the rule. Where you,
right.
and even they did not do it as a rookie. Right.
Yeah.
They did it in year 2. So
we don't know a lot of these backfield situations, and that includes with veterans. There 100%. Is if you're drafting players in the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th round, it's because we do not know right now. And you are taking shots, and you should take shots. That is 100% something you should do.
Yep.
But there's generally not a safer player than others. Like in the beginning, yes, Shipley's moving up because we know that Shipley is essentially the 2 in Philadelphia. That is bankable information. But a lot of these guys, we don't know. We don't. And you're taking a shot, and you should be taking these shots, but you don't have to be at 50%, 60% of these guys, even if you love them. You can be at 20% and you're still especially on a guy like Taj Brooks that's not getting drafted in every draft. Mm-hmm. If you're at 20% Taj Brooks, your effective stock on him is way higher than 20%.
What is his
I bet it's lower. I bet it's I don't even know what it is.
No, not opponent draft board.
Yeah. So I think that just like you got to take those numbers into effect as well when you're starting to
none of my opponents have drafted Taj Brooks. Right. So
out of
it's only
teams.
It's only well, this is BB. Let's look at all tournaments. If I go to all tournaments on Underdog, let's see if anybody has drafted Taj Brooks. One of the beautiful features of Draft IQ is you can go to the opponent draft board or opponent exposures and
still zero.
It's taking a second to load, of course. But I feel like the BBM teams are good enough to say, like, he's clearly not being drafted very often. If no one in my BBM drafts have taken him, like you said, 20% is like on a guy who's drafted, let's just say 5% of the time. Let's say 10% of the time. If you have 20% of the dude who's only drafted in 10% of drafts, you are so significantly overweight that it's kind of crazy. And so, like you said, you can just have your cake and eat it too, I think, at this point in the summer with all those guys. And then it's going to solidify. If you want to take them, take them. If you want to wait. And the news is going to come. We're going to know how good of a pick Taj Brooks is soon. And sure, you won't get him in the last round if he becomes a thing next month. But also, like, it's like I was taking Jordan Mason still in like the 12th round, 13th round last year, whatever it was. Like, they're still, once we get the true information, they never really rise enough. Right? Kyron a couple years ago didn't rise enough. Puka didn't rise enough. Jordan Mason didn't rise enough. Like, these guys just still don't rise enough. So you can take your shots now, but you can also wait it out. There's no real right or wrong answer.
The only time they ever rose too high was probably, was this BBM 2 when
Darrell
Henderson, right? Like that.
Makers tore his Achilles. Yep.
Tore his Achilles early, early,
June
like
or something.
Yeah.
May. It's early. Yeah.
Yeah. And Henderson rose up to, I think, like the 4th round or something like that. Which I think is still relatively good process overall. It might not have worked out, but like it was fine.
I think it was bad in Best Ball Mania. He should rise, but like I actually did. You can probably scroll all the way back to that year where I did videos about Darrell Henderson on this channel. Don't do that because I'm sure that they were very, very bad. But where I talked about, that's a great situation to take advantage of, and like then use him in the time box tournaments where everybody's paying that new price.
Right.
When like, I know it's not a lot, but when like 20% of the field, 25% of the field has this dude, like that year, he was like a 14th round pick and rose all the way up to like the 4th round. And it was like, I think I'll just take my 14th round Darrell Henderson teams and hope that those win, and then draft. If you still think he's a good pick in the 4th round, draft him in the puppy or draft him in the schnauzer or the Pomeranian 12 or whatever, right? Like that's kind of how I think about.
Yeah, I think you can just draft all these guys right now. The player pool is going to shrink. That is part of this game. Next month it's going to shrink, and guess what happens when preseason comes? It shrinks even more. So
big time.
Let's
super quick. There's been some questions about Ty Felton or Jalen Naylor. Are you drafting either, and do you have a preference?
I don't think I've drafted either at all this season, to be completely honest.
And this one hits home for me because I drafted a bunch of Jalen Naylor, and I'm very happy with the process last year to take a bunch of Jalen Naylor. I'm taking some Ty Felton. He's a 3rd round pick, and he was a decent prospect, and it's the Vikings, right? If he was on the Patriots or something, like whatever, who gives a shit? But he's on the Vikings, and so I'm sprinkling some Ty Felton. I'm not going crazy. It's another one of those, like I don't feel that pressure to be like, oh no, you didn't get Ty Felton in the 18th round. It's like or Jalen Naylor. Like Jalen Naylor is just never gonna rise, so who cares, right? Like I can really wait on Jalen Naylor, but if it's Ty Felton, okay, I got to take him in the 15th round in July. That's fine. Like it's fine. I'm not upset about that.
Do you want to know a secret? Don't tell anybody, but I haven't drafted a Viking stack at all this season.
Let's see. Perfect segue into this. I have my exposures tab pulled up here where we can see all the stacks and structures. As you can see, pretty heavy into what we would classify as late round quarterback, and obviously heavy into elite wide receiver and elite tight end. But I'm kind of barbelling it, and not a ton of middle round tight ends. I am drafting a little bit more of some early running back stuff than I would before. And so I'm really blending through my structures this year more than I did last year. We'll see how correct that is, but I'm kind of mixing and matching a little bit more this year. You can see some of the roster build stuff, but teams drafting 2 or more players would be a decent place to start for Minnesota. And you see a lot of Philly, a lot of Jacksonville, a lot of San Francisco, which is so I'm good. Like so far, so good. This is what I would expect based on my takes and my rankings and all that kind of stuff. Dallas, right? Chargers, Carolina. Cool. 8% of teams with, so 13 total teams across out of, 164 teams, and 13 of them have 2 or more Vikings.
Is there any of those teams up around there that you think you need to get more of? I think there's 2 that I'm looking at on yours that I feel like if I had those numbers, I'd want to get them up.
That is a great question. Well, as I scroll down further, the Ravens, probably the Lions, though the prices on the Lions don't make me that worried about. I probably have. Let's look at one. Look at the play.
The Lions sound shocking, and then you think of the price.
But look, I have 35% of my teams have a Lion.
Right.
It's just I don't have teams. Only 5% of them have multiple Lions. So I'm cool. Yeah. I'm totally cool with that.
There's 2 that I think Who
are the 2?
Arizona, I think you need to be higher on, for sure. Just because Kyler's price is so reduced.
And I have a ton of McBride. And I like Trey Benson.
Yeah, and you like Benson. I think that's one that you should like. When I say you, I'm talking about everybody. Should probably be a little overweight on Arizona
all
this
you
year.
Fuckers. That's what he's saying.
The other one that I'm shocked that you're not higher. I thought it would be one of your top teams, and they're higher up there. But the Chargers, man,
I know
this Herbert price. It's like the best value of a quarterback. He's got to be up there.
So see, this is so interesting. He's my 3rd highest owned stacked quarterback.
Yeah,
Herbert is. But it's just like a lot of it's I would almost guarantee you it's a ton of Herbert Trey Harris or Herbert Ladd. Their problem is I don't take the tight ends.
Yeah, that's true.
Very much. And then I do like Hampton, but I'm like totally lukewarm on Najee, and I'm really not taking QJ. So it's really it's not that I don't like the Chargers.
That's where we differentiate.
It's you like QJ?
Yeah, where he's going, that's the guy I want in that range. I'm not looking for my whatever. What is he in? Like the 14th round, 13th?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's definitely cheap.
He's so cheap. That is the dude I want to draft in that round that I can say, QJ, go get me 20 points twice this season. and I would love for you to do it in the playoffs and just add him into a layer because I'm already drafting really good wide receivers. I don't need guys that are like, that are going in that range that are like a Wandale Robinson. Give me QJ 10 times out of 10 over Wandale Robinson going forward. And if I can stack him with the quarterback that I think is severely underpriced and I can get a double stack with the Chargers, sign me up all day.
I have $20. One DK Millie team.
Sorry, you're gonna be poor, bro.
On QJ. Said no one ever that you didn't draft enough Quentin Johnson. I respect your point, and I don't think you're wrong. It is something I will consider. Not tonight.
But I also think so I think that this might be the other reason why I have Herbert. I think that people get scared that they don't have Ladd, and that's why Herbert's price gets suppressed. Yeah. And then Trey Harris is so right around them, they're scared they can't get the double tap on them.
Yep.
So they don't take Herbert. But I'll just take Herbert, and then I just know I can take QJ.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'm getting my Herbert exposure because it's like he's the best quarterback in this range by far. I don't care what you say about the coaching staff, the way that they like to play football. Saw that it didn't matter last year. Herbert still was balling last year, right? Now he's underpriced, and I can still get him with a stacking partner that he'll connect with a few of the times. And I'm pairing Herbert with like Jamar Chase, two or three other stud wide receivers. Quentin Johnston's my 6th or 7th wide receiver. Dude, give me Chargers all day.
Yeah, I am with you on the Chargers. You're selling me a little bit. The big thing for me is, I'm the biggest Trey Harris slappy of all time. He's one of my highest owned players all around, and so he's like my out to Herbert. That's why this number is that's the discrepancy on why is Herbert your 3rd highest owned stacked quarterback, but the Chargers, right? The teams with multiple Chargers are not that high. It's because I just take Herbert with Harris or Herbert with Ladd, and so I'm open to the the mega stacking episode. I'm open to it because I do like Hampton, and I'm not fading Najee by any stretch. Yeah. They just have a slight with the tight end situation. They have slightly fewer options to like mega stack the Chargers. But just this is kind of like I'm kind of happy, honestly. Like normally I show up and I'm like, oh shit, there's something totally missing here. But it's kind of aligned with what I think here. Nothing at the quarterback position really that is that shocking. I know you like the Cardinals more than I do, and I think that's fair. Please ignore the Kenny Pickett. That's super flex. I'm not proud of it.
I like the Cardinals, but I don't really love Marvin Harrison. I've been trying to force myself to take more of him, but that's just because I want to correlate him a little bit more with Kyler.
They don't have a lot of options either because you don't want to draft Greg Dortch, right? It's really it's really McBride, and then if you like Connor and Benson, and obviously Kyler.
Yeah. I guess maybe they are a little more condensed for me. And I will stab at Michael Wilson for like a second player with Arizona occasionally, but it's not something I'm doing.
If Derek Stingley shadows Quentin Johnston, that seems like a very poor use of resources by the Houston Texans. That's like shadowing Chris Hogan with Darrelle Revis when Randy Moss is on the other side.
That's like the one corner they have left at this point too, right? Didn't they just lose? Who'd they just lose? AJ Barner or something like that?
Oh God, that's good. Just super quick, do the playoff stuff, and then we'll hop into a draft and try to put together one of these stacks. Just look at the week 17 stuff. Not super. See, same thing. Like Houston and the Chargers are not showing up as highly in like my multiplayer team stacks. But I like the Chargers and I like the Texans, so you see them a lot in these other areas. And like that's what's great about this tool, right? Is I can see that you're like, if you only looked at like, oh, how many teams have multiple Chargers, you'd be like, what the fuck, dude? You don't even really like the Chargers. And you're like, well, actually, Herbert is my 3rd highest stacked quarterback, and that is my 3rd highest stacked week 17 game. So the Rams it's a little bit cheating because this happens a little bit for me, where that's why if you move it down to like some quarterback stuff, right? Or you can look at the wide receivers and tight ends and all that kind of stuff. But just to keep it on all, it's Algier and Jarquez Hunter Like
Right.
I take a lot of Puka, and I do take Devontae. The Falcons I like, but like it's really the late running backs showing up here. Same thing like Shipley,
I
is
actually find
showing
this
up.
one surprising, the Philly Buffalo one, because
Will
I obviously
Shipley,
like both of those teams. Well, not from the Eagles side. I
Buffalo.
struggle with Buffalo, even when I drop Josh Allen. What I want to do with those Buffalo stacks?
Ray Davis, Josh
Yeah,
Palmer.
Ray Davis,
Ray
Palmer.
Davis and Palmer's coming is what's driving that number for sure. Because
Yeah.
I like basically never take Josh Allen. I don't even know where he is on
You
here.
think you had him at 4%?
Yeah, so I have five Allen stacks. They might, and so like those 5 might have an Eagle, right? They might have Shipley or Devontae Smith or something, and so like the number
Right.
just jumps up pretty quick. But it's not like a total. I would actually say this game is one of the bigger priority. Not necessarily because I'm like trying to target that game environment, just because I like those two offenses and the prices a lot. Outside of that, yeah, it's pretty flat, which I think I'm pretty comfortable with. This number probably needs to come up, but Washington has been a weird, like the prices are just kind of weird on Washington, even though I have a lot of Dallas stacks, and maybe this one come up a little bit as well. This one I actually might want to move up a little bit too.
What about your Jaxie Indy one?
This is the Indy problem.
Yeah.
So I think I got to do some more Downs and Pierce and probably Tyler Warren. Because I take a bunch of, as you see over here, Lawrence is 17 Lawrence stacks, but I don't have a ton of Indy. So if I want to correlate that game, I probably got to prioritize the Colts a little bit more.
Giddens maybe occasionally.
Yeah, Giddens.
Throw him in there.
Because I don't love JT and definitely don't like Pittman very much. But the other guys I think on the Colts make more sense. I've been trying to get a little more down, so that number should probably go up.
Yeah, Downs is one of my favorite clicks on the board for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and are you going to try to get into this drafters too, or we just?
No, I'm going to draft with you just in case I have to.
Yeah, you might have to leave. Yeah,
I might have to shoot out of here.
Oh fuck, we're 0 out of 12. So
that's fine. The chat's going to fill it right up.
We need 10 of you. 9. Let's count it down. I don't actually want to count it down.
Do it.
It takes too long.
Yeah, I got to go jump and help with a bloody disgusting show that they're producing.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I got to do tonight.
Only 4 more. We're moving. We'll get her filled. Here's also what I'll do. If you're sitting in the chat and you're thinking, do I really want to join this? We'll give away a free ticket to this drafters tournament. If you are hanging out with us, I'm about to post a link to a Google Sheet in the chat. I see all of you folks that are watching. A, if you've not hit the like button and you're watching, what are you doing? But B, we're going to give away at the end of this draft. Rob will probably be gone, but I will give away 1 free ticket to the drafters main event. So this $20 tournament. We'll spin the wheel. We'll spin the wheel as soon as this draft is over, and someone will win a free ticket to this tournament on Drafters. If you don't have an account on Drafters, you can still win the free ticket. You will, of course, have to sign up for an account, but you can also use promo code SPIKE when you sign up for your first deposit and get $100 free with promo code SPIKE. If you deposit $100, you get a free $100. You deposit $10, you get a free $10, but they'll match 100% of your first deposit with promo code SPIKE as well, up to $100. So I'll post that Google Sheet a handful of times here during the course of this draft, and make sure you guys get in there to get a shot at a free ticket. We've given away 4 or 5 so far this summer, and we're going to just about every time that at least I'm doing a drafters draft, we'll make sure to give away some free tickets.
Dorito already knows that this room is going to be torture.
Are you in? Oh yeah, the champ, the champ is in here, and he is not going to love it. Also, we're drafting. This room is going to suck. This is the epitome of a friends and family draft, man. D-Lou is in here. I'm not over the ride. If we don't call you out as part of the friends and family, please drop it in the chat so we remember you moving forward. But I know, obviously, Dorito, line of scrimmage. Don't know Adam. I feel like Gerardo. I feel like I've seen that. I know it's only 2, but I feel like I've seen the name Gerardo. Vanny, Shuby, and Self all in here. It's a total friends and family room.
D-Ludo is saying, dare me to take London at pick 1. And I say, don't be a coward. Take DK Metcalf at 1. We know you love the Steelers. Set that stack up immediately.
Did you? So on Thursdays, I do the everybody sends in rules. I spin the wheel, and the wheel decides like the rule I have to draft by on the Thursday shows.
Yeah.
And it was a fun one or whatever. But I think it was D-Lou that asked about Metcalf or asked to get sauced on his team.
Yeah, I saw it.
Jesus Christ, by the way. All right, let's punish everyone. But yeah, D-Lou asked to get sauced, and he took Metcalf in the 5th round. And I just had happened to be talking about the Steelers because people in the Discord were foaming at the mouth when the Rodgers news came about the Steelers, like DK Metcalf is gonna smash now. And I was like, no, brother, no, he is not. And not only did D-Lou draft Metcalf in the 5th round, he speaking of mega stack, he mega stacked the Steelers. Like every Steeler, Caleb Johnson, Aaron Rodgers, Calvin Austin, like Freiermuth, like fucking every Steeler. And I was just like dying laughing at the end.
He's getting all 22 of their touchdowns this year. I'm not missing one of them.
When Darnell Washington catches those 2 touchdowns in a game, it's just going to be so painful for that stack. Oh man, it was really funny. I'm clipping it for sure. Like that's going on. We don't do as many YouTube shorts anymore, but I'm making a YouTube short out of that one because it was epic. What a room!
This is a hell of a draft right now.
Wide receiver into running back run.
Nico Collins at 106, a man after my own heart.
I love it. Doritos. These rooms can be fun though, because we're all going to get probably a different team. You know, we don't have to try hard to get a unique combination. I'm going to have to try hard to get a mega stack if I'm going to stick to the script on this show, because I don't know that I want to mega stack the Giants, but we'll see.
Can you? I mean, did you see the report out of Giants camp today?
No.
Oh, they were all just fighting each other, and they had to cancel practice.
Yeah, I did see that. Russ was probably doing yoga in the background or something.
Yeah. Giants up. He's just yelling as the fight's breaking down.
Going, in the
oh my god,
licking his fingers.
I can't even believe that. I forgot Jameis was on that team for a second.
Jameis is the QB3 on the New York Giants. Oh man.
Just rip the Band-Aid, Dorito. I know what you're doing. Just rip the Band-Aid, Dorito.
Most effort the Giants have shown in years.
Holy shit.
Oh, Rashid. Okay.
Yeah, lad,
so
right?
the fucked up thing is the lad neighbors is not
real quick before you draft. God damn it. I was gonna ask you to look. I'm not sure if you have it on your hacker right now, but to see how often Neighbors is getting drafted with McConkey.
I'll look it up real quick.
I don't. It might be.
It's not like a super unique combination as far as I remember. Hold on.
Nico McConkey was. I did that on the Sunday show because it was like 4 or 3% or something.
It's actually he's the most popular second rounder with Neighbors. So I literally got Malik Neighbors at pick 5 and got the most popular guy with him still.
Jesus Christ. It is fucking impressive.
You guys, these people. But but it sets me up. You put my feet to the fire on the Chargers thing, so it sets me up to do some fun Chargers stuff. Marv, she is long gone, which is who I would love to get. I can do Marv here, I think.
Marv or one of the running backs, I would say.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Marv because I'm gonna be hoping for Hampton here coming.
Well, Breece Hall might fall in this room.
In this room, Chase Brown might fall back to me. Yeah, remember all the Russ versus Fields conversations last year? And then Russ came in and everybody was excited for just a quick hot minute because he threw a couple touchdowns, and then it was like, nope. Russ still very, very bad. Still very bad at football.
Yeah, unbelievable. Hear your dogs lurking in the background.
It's, I have a dog bed like literally right here. My desk cuts off just outside of the frame, and I have a dog bed right there. And one of them has laid the alpha of the two has laid claim to that dog bed, but the other one always like he like gets growly with him. But I'm like, but he lays like 2 feet away from him, and then growls at him. And I'm like, why don't you? There's all this room. I leave the door open. Like, go fucking somewhere else. Stop laying next to him and then getting mad that he's close to you.
I should probably get a dog bed. I just have this cow laying on the ground over here.
So funny. That's what mine do. Randomly all over the house. You know, you just come home and he's just in the middle of the hallway, just like dead to the world.
It's the worst when I'm cooking, man, because he'll just go in the kitchen and lay in the middle of the floor, and it's like anywhere else, just go somewhere.
Yep.
Like, it's unbelievable. It's like, thanks a lot, dude.
But again, the alpha who's laying here on the bed, Taz is his name. They're fiends, right? So when you're cooking, right, like grease is splattering or whatever, it's something, you drop something on the floor. So he's always like, he's already my shadow. Like, he's 100% my shadow. And then he's constantly around when you're cooking and stuff. And then when he like has licked up all the grease and the stuff, then he just lays down, like you said, right next, I'm next to the oven and he's right behind me. And I'm like, anywhere else, dude, like literally anywhere else in the whole house, you have free reign, and you chose right there. I'm like stepping, I'm jumping over you to get to the sink and all that. And it's a shit show.
And half the time it's to feed him. It's like, I just made you eggs. Get out of my way so I can feed them to you.
Right.
Did we get what we wanted? Perhaps.
Should be. He's falling in drafts. Yeah. I'm just taking Hampton.
Let's do it.
Guy.
And we're on drafters, so we don't have to game stack here.
Right.
Which is nice. I do like to take that out of the equation sometimes, where it's like, I can just do what I want to do.
not having, if you're watching, like this section here being the schedule and like being having another thing to think about is quite nice. There's obviously other elements to drafters that we gotta consider during the draft, but it is freeing to be able to do a bunch of things that you're not like, and I do think the week 17 stuff has become, it's not like overrated or overvalued or whatever, but it's like it's become a crutch. It's like we use it as a crutch as opposed to like what it should actually be used for, which is like tie breaking and putting together these scenarios where we can win the tournament. It's just like, well, I got to take this guy because he correlates with that game, and it's like, that's not really true necessarily. Ooh. See, I would always fucking take Hurts here, and so this is painful because
how much Waddle do you have?
I don't think 2%.
I like Waddle.
I like that here.
I like Waddle, especially for this room.
I like that.
Yeah.
This is a good room to do Waddle in, actually.
I think so too. I think the week 17 stuff, I think it gets, my hot take is it gets talked about, but not done. That's my hot take on the week 17 stuff. I think people bring it up, and then I don't think people do it, is what I would say.
Most people, correct. Agreed.
Because I think that I think if you want my overly hottest take of the year right now.
Yeah, you're leaving in a minute. You're going to leave you with the fucking standing in the building while it's burning down.
My hottest of hottest takes is people, and this doesn't count for drafters, is people are still worried about the first 25% of tournaments, and they're just worried about weeks 1 through 14 on tournament teams. Like everything they draft for is to advance out of round 1. That is how they're drafting. That is all they care about. And
even subconsciously,
yeah,
you may have convinced yourself you're talking about, like, I think that's it, is that we've convinced ourselves that we're still talking about this, like, weeks 15, 16, 17, and the week 17 upside, and then still a lot of our actions are actually dictated by this weeks 1 through 14 stuff.
Yeah, and it'll be, and you'll say, you know, week 17 matters, and then you're hitting 3 or 4 quarterbacks, even with an elite quarterback, because the points are actually they actually are going to score points. Yeah. So
Draft
I
3
think
quarterbacks, draft a bunch of onesies, make sure you draft 3 quarterbacks, get the old running backs, because they're, and like, look, I've been guilty of the old running backs. I'm not guilty of the 3 quarterbacks things. Don't ever fucking tell me that I'm guilty of the 3 quarterback thing. But the old running backs, I definitely have admittedly been, you know, and I actually still don't think that old running backs is necessarily wrong in a vacuum, but that is we've course corrected so far from 2 years ago. Weeks, right? Like, we've been saying for 5 years, week 17 is all that matters, since the foundation of Spike Week. It's fucking called Spike Week, right? For a reason. And a lot of people, you know, we weren't the only people that thought about it this way, but the week 17 is all that matters became the thing. And it did maybe become a little bit too much of a thing in the way people drafted for a small stretch. And now we've course corrected so far the other way to zero avoidance, right? And what happens when a quarterback gets injured and all that kind of stuff. It's like, what happens when your quarterback doesn't get injured? How about that fucking scenario? Right. You know, it's like we've gone so far into cautious territory. Wow, this room is bizarre.
Yeah, what is your play here?
Joe Burrow. Fuck, I actually don't know.
You could
get
spicy and take Laporta, since the team you're trying to build out doesn't have a tight end.
Because I don't have very much Laporta. Definitely don't have very much of him on these teams. Let's do that.
I've been overlooking Laporta a little too much, and I might not even be overlooking. It might be just because I like McBride, Bowers, Kittle. Mm-hmm. So once I have them, Laporta becomes a blind spot. And I think I want some.
No comment, but epic.
You can draft good 3 quarterback teams. There are ways to do it.
5-star comment from Nolan.
Yeah, great job by Nolan there.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I think that gets lost all the time. It's certainly for us, where, like, we prefer certain ways to construct rosters. You'll never hear me say you can't draft 3 quarterbacks, or there aren't times to draft 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends or whatever. My stance is that in general, the field does it too often with wrong 3 quarterback rooms. That's all. It's not that it's bad, right? People constantly ask, like, with no nuance, how many quarterbacks should we draft? And the answer is always, to everything, it depends. Right? It depends on a bunch of stuff. And so I think that's the frustration with a lot of that conversation. So, I mean, I do obviously like Pearsall and Shakir, but Pollard is a pretty good fit on this team.
Pollard is where I would go, but
I think I'm supposed to.
I don't want to lead the witness.
I'm supposed to take Pollard.
I remember my best 3 quarterback team. It was in a $250 tournament. I drafted it on stream with Overzet, and we had the best team of all time that year. We were slamming through every single week, and our 3 quarterbacks were Hurts, Zach Wilson, Ryan Tannehill. And I don't know if you remember that year.
It was a solo quarterback team.
It was a solo quarterback team, and then he went down.
Yeah, and Hurts missed the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we would have been better off.
I had Hurts Lawrence on 2 different teams that made the finals. No quarterback.
Yeah. If we had gone with 2 quarterbacks on that team without backfilling with the 2 garbage quarterbacks, we win, because we missed the finals, I think, by like 6 points with getting a 0 at QB. So
I also think on drafters and, you know, in cumulative scoring, 2 quarterbacks is actually even more powerful. I don't love it as much as other people do, but you could sit here and convince me, like, you know, especially on DraftKings, the gauntlet of how things shake out, and, you know, especially 300-yard bonus or whatever, like having a third and 20 rounds. Like, I get it 100%. I actually wouldn't push back at all. Like, even like if you wanted to say with an elite, like I would love to sneak Jalen Hurts through, right? Or sneak Josh Allen through in that scenario, or whatever. I get it. In like the merit in cumulative scoring, when I need to essentially hit the nuts for a season, like why do I want to spend so many resources on this position when I've basically said whatever I built is the nuts? Like, you've said this is the nuts for the whole season at the quarterback position. I need much more firepower for when Saquon has a down game, or when Derrick Henry has a down game, or Jamar Chase has a down game, or those guys get hurt. Like, I've assumed my quarterbacks are good, right? Because I probably stacked them. I you know, especially if I invested real draft capital into those guys, like a Jalen Hurts. Like, we've made the assumption that Jalen Hurts is going to have a good season. You drafted him in the 4th or 5th fucking round. Like, he's going to have a good season. I think that contest specific is also important in that. Jesus, B Rob, of course, is available here. I am going to put him in the queue. But did Trey Harris go?
No, he doesn't go yet.
He's about to.
Oh, take him.
Oh, baby. This is the first Chargers Giga Stack on the Giga Stack episode. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like the Chargers a lot.
That's pretty good.
I clearly should have went for quarterback.
You guys had a great team, but you took one quarterback too few.
Yeah. Should have just grabbed that 4th, you know? Did Dorito on his winning team? He only had 2 quarterbacks, right?
Dorito, what was your winning team? 2 quarterbacks? I think so.
I would assume so with Dorito.
Last year was 3 quarterbacks on drafters, 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. But if I recall, I'm trying to remember the tight. It was like Goddard. Goddard had 1 good game, and I think they still would have won regardless of whether they had Goddard or not. And then the 3rd quarterback was Gino, who like really didn't do anything for the team. So that's always the funny thing too, when we're like, well, look at the winning team. It did this, and it was like, yeah, but they actually, that wasn't why they won. You know. All right, 101. He's not. We got time. Should we just really Giga Stack this? With Najee?
No, you'd grab Sharps there. You don't grab Najee there.
Okay,
that would
be wild if we won with literally every Charger.
Yeah,
I think that's aggressive. I agree.
I think that's too aggressive. I think
isn't this crazy? He won with Dak and Stafford.
Yeah, so he won with one quarterback.
Not even like the upside quarterbacks, which tells you that kind of tells the whole story.
Yeah.
Good point. Najee's probably coming back. Obviously he didn't. But yeah, see, I get it. I just don't think when I'm building like the Giga Stack, I want to bet against Hampton. I want Hampton. Like I want Hampton out the gate to be the guy in the back.
Yeah. I think there's fine times to take Hampton and Harris together, but not on this type of build that you're trying to do.
And especially not with both receivers. And, you know, I actually don't want to take QJ, but I'll be open to it. It's like 7 Chargers or whatever out of 20 roster spots is a little bit aggressive, even for a mega stack.
Yeah. Najee with Hampton.
It's definitely cumulative, but like if Hampton hits, I don't really want Najee. I want Najee in the scenarios where Hampton is not like this big Chargers bet is like they're all underpriced. It's hard for, aside from like some weird injury stuff, for Najee and Hampton to both be underpriced. What I would rather do is take one of the running backs, a bunch of the pass catchers, and Justin Herbert, and then other running backs, right? Like Sharps just like takes the job from Ken Walker, or Ken Walker gets hurt and Hampton is smashing all year, and then I get Sharps, who's a much better pick than Najee in cumulative, right? That's the point was in cumulative that he will outscore him. It's like on the Chargers in this scenario where Hampton is a good pick, Najee is theoretically not outscoring Sharps or Tootin or whoever else.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. I understand the other point a bit, but
yeah, I don't think it's like wrong. I just think I would prefer only one of the backs. Yeah, this is totally fair. That's also why we have Tony Pollard. Did you take it? Okay. I saw red. I mean, I'm not fucking around.
I would have just sent a message and got this draft thrown out.
Zach from Drafters. There's this Dorito guy. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
You sent him a big old wire, bank wire a couple of years ago. Ban this draft and kick him off the platform, please. Because,
thanks.
Yeah. I'm trying to give away free tickets to your site, which of course, if you were not around when we announced this before, I just put a link to the Google Sheet. You'll see in column A, just put your name, username, whatever, some identifier for you. And at the end of this draft, I'm going to put all those names into a little fun little wheel, and whoever the wheel lands on is going to get a free ticket into this $20 main event on Drafters. $500,000 first place. My God, man, how quickly things have changed. Remember the early years of Drafters? I'm not sure I ever saw this coming. Millions of dollars.
They build great tournaments here. Speaking of building great, do we want to double tap QB here?
It's a good question. I do like Njoku.
Oh, I kind of like Ramondre.
Don't tell anyone. Ramondre too.
Don't tell anyone I said that.
I like Ramondre too. I'm going to do Ramondre actually. I kind of need a little. We're going to be running out of early running back juice, like to the point of like, what if Hampton is a little slow out of the gates? Like I have Pollard, so Tajay. If I'm not taking Najee on the Hampton team, Tajay doesn't make sense on the Pollard team for this, purpose. And it's like we're about out of the early running back potential scoring. I'm not saying I know if Ramondre is going to score early points, but he's obviously alongside a fellow rookie, just like Najee is. So it would be reasonable that Ramondre is helping me get out of the gates with some, double-digit point games to bide some time into Hampton, into Sharps, and then into these other running backs that I'm going to take.
I like Henderson, but if we want to just be true to ourselves, we know Ramondre is getting a ton of snaps, especially throughout the beginning of the season. I think throughout the entire season.
If we're going to say that about Najee, why are we not saying that about Ramondre?
Yeah, I think Ramondre is underpriced, to be perfectly honest, and I haven't gotten enough of him. I think people want to be done with Ramondre, and I think he's just he's boring. He's become
2 years ago he went at the 2-3 turn.
Yeah,
and now we're done. we're totally done.
Yeah, so I think that's.
Yeah, I need to get more Ramondre. I have 10%, but that's that's only on Underdog.
Yeah, I agree with Shuby. I think it's fine to be overweight on both of them.
I think honest to God, with how much I like Travion, like just as like a player and the landing spot and all that, I think you should be overweight on both of them.
Yeah,
I think both prices can be wildly wrong in the same season.
Mm-hmm.
Like Travion just rocks, but Ramondre doesn't necessarily. It's kind of like it's a terrible comp. Don't clip me on this, but it's like dollar store Gibbs Demont. That's what it's like. It's like Travion can hit, and we keep taking Gibbs in the first round as we should, and we keep taking Demont in the 6th or 7th round as we should, and they can both be wins in the same season. Like obviously the Patriots are not going to be the Lions, but in a way, they're like 2 of the 3 best players on the offense.
Yeah.
They're going to rotate. They're both going to have their roles that are fruitful for fantasy. I think that they're both pretty good.
Speaking of dollar stores, I think that the Dollar General sign is the state flag of Iowa after I drove through there. Because that's like
You had
all
to
I
drive through Iowa?
Oh, dude, I didn't tell you I was in Iowa for like 2 or 3 days. That's what we went out there for. We went out there.
God.
And
there's multiple Iowa schools in my college. Obviously, I'm in Illinois, so I'm close to Iowa, but then multiple schools in our conference were in Iowa. And shoo, buddy, Iowa is a trip.
Yeah. I'll tell you 2 quick stories before I go after we draft a player.
This is supposed to be Trey Benson, right?
I'm never going to say no to Trey Benson.
Yeah, this is supposed to be Trey Benson.
I didn't go there for Dollar General. They just were the only store around most of these towns.
Yeah, they're corn and Dollar General. That's what they do in Iowa.
Yeah. So we went there, and the towns we went to were Villisca and God, what was the other one? Some other town that only had 1,000 people in it. And
that's all you do in Iowa, by the way. It's just keep driving, and there's 1,000 people here, and 1,000 people here, and 1,000 people here.
Yeah, just a block of a town. And
you get to Iowa City, and you're like, wow, like 25,000 people. Sweet.
We went into a restaurant on a Sunday night, and we sat at the bar. We were the only 3 at the bar. There was one other couple in a booth. One of the bartenders turned to the other one, not joking, and goes, "I've never seen it this busy on a Sunday night." And I was like, where the fuck am I? Where am I right now?
Did you ask him, how the fuck are you open?
I was blown away. I was just absolutely.
How much money do you make before taxes? Because it can't be very much. This is busy. Okay, let's see. Quarterback window is about to be closed, but oh god, Thielen. But tight end.
Oh, I like Likely. I don't mind Ferguson either.
Let's do Likely. With Laporta, I kind of like Laporta is very good, but probably never going to be Bowers, McBride, whatever. You're just going to get like you're hoping for like some combination of rookie year and second year Sam Laporta, which is like really good and steady production, which is kind of what Jake Ferguson is, right? But Likely is the like, what if this dude is just the fucking man on the Ravens now? Like upsides, he feels like a good fit.
I think he has just such a wide range of outcomes. I think he can be that. I think he could just be a part of the offense, even with Mark Andrews. Yeah, I think they could run a lot of 2 tight ends and just still have a top. I think they could both be top 10 tight ends this season. So that's why I'm drafting a ton. I'm drafting Likely. I'm drafting Andrews, and sometimes I'm drafting them together. So it's just, I think it's fine.
Pretty good. Nolan's on a heater tonight.
The other Iowa thing I'll tell you, and then I got to jump. We were getting breakfast, and I ordered a coffee. It was like a mocha iced coffee. And I said, I'll take a mocha iced coffee.
They know what iced coffee is in Iowa?
I was, after I tell you this story, you'll be even more shocked. I said, can I get a mocha iced coffee with sugar? And she goes, do you mean like chocolate syrup? And I was like, no, I mean sugar. And she just looked at me, and I go, whatever you think it means, just do that. And that's fine. And Jesse ordered a black coffee. And she's like, what flavor? He's like, I just want black coffee. She's like, looked at him.
Like Kool-Aid. You know, when people say Kool-Aid, like what flavor? Red, purple. She was like, what flavor coffee? Black, brown.
It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
That is peak Iowa for sure. All right. One more pick. Do I take Tua Waddle? Yeah, it's got to be Tua.
Tua Waddle, right? Yeah. I mean, not that I'm a big Tua guy this year.
How do you feel about the same buy with quarterbacks, though?
Oh, you can take Penix.
Do Penix and
you got outs for Penix. You can get Ray.
I could do Ward though with Pollard.
Oh, you could do Ward with I'm gonna do
Ward. I have Pollard and backstack. Do 2 mega stacks.
Yeah,
on the same team.
You can get Io Manor on this team, who is sneakily one of my favorite picks late now.
I'm with you on the Titans. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your draft. I will see you guys Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we will also be drafting on Drafters. I will not be giving away tickets because I am the evil one.
You
So
can give away a free ticket on Sunday. Go for
I
it.
don't want to. They don't deserve it unless we get 100,000 likes. Maybe I'll give away a free ticket. Please watch the show. Please support me. Bye.
Oh man. Shout out, Rob. Yeah, this is hilarious. Everyone was from Delaware in the chat in a previous show, and everyone we found things that there's tall people, there's Delaware people. No Iowa pushback on the Iowa slander. We get pushback on all of the things that we talk shit about on show. Not Iowa, interestingly enough. Wandale goes. Okay. Running back has already gotten gross. I've given up on ever even considering Will Shipley. I don't. Ooh, Hunter. Yes. I need some running back juice. Don't apologize, Miles. There's no need to apologize. It was epic. It was hilarious. 100,000 likes. We're getting close. Where did you go to school, Miles? Yeah, exactly. I knew that. I your draft. If Dorito is drafting next to me, I got to prioritize Sharkwise Hunter. Ooh, man. This is a great question. Shibi says, you guys talked about Sean's love, Sean Siegel. For those unaware, I posted a video with myself. I know I mentioned this earlier, but myself, Sean Siegel, and Calm Kelly doing some zero RB talk and what does and doesn't work for zero running back this year, what the flaws are, right? What the perks are, all that kind of stuff. And Sean loves Taj. And when Sean Siegel speaks about something, I don't always have to agree, but I love listening to his thought process and then the like firmness of his takes, right? He doesn't back down from the things that he believes in. And I really respect somebody that does that. But he brought up, it was so fun. It was like mega early in the episode that, so when Shuby says ETN here, you would think Travis Etienne. Like, oh, he likes Travis Etienne. He's right. Liam Cohen with the Jaguars. No, sir. He mentioned Trevor Etienne like in the first half hour of the episode, and I was like, myself, I was floored, and I was like, did he misspeak? Did he mean Travis? Like, I guarantee some other people had that same take. I understand what he's saying. I cannot get on board with the Trevor Etienne stuff. Like we have to draw a line somewhere in the prospect like caliber, book. Like I understand conceptually the point of Trevor Etienne, but man, that's rough. I actually. We'll do Justice Hill because I might be able to back out of running back now if I need to. Amen. How many? This is probably a stupid question, but like, how many universities are there even in Delaware? Yeah, I have a non-zero amount of Trevor Etienne actually on drafters. I think I've taken him once. Look at that. Oh, 5%. I've taken him multiple times. I've taken Trevor Etienne. Sean is through osmosis is seeping into my brain apparently somehow. But I've taken him a couple times. I specifically remember, I think even on a stream, I took Trevor Etienne where it was like, oh shit, I'm locked out. I think it was some Panthers stuff where I was like, I drafted a 0 running back team. I need some swings on some rookies, and I do think he fits that mold. Oh, baby. Yahtzee Chig. We're building the Mega Stack episode. We have Herbert, Hampton, Ladd, and Trey Harris, and then Cam Ward, Tony Pollard, Chig Okonkwo, and we'll be able to add another Titans wide receiver here. This is beautiful. Accomplished all our goals for the Mega Stack episode. And actually, most of the time, full transparency, we draft the team on stream. Don't love it because you guys take all the guys that I like. But I'm into this one. How many people even live in Delaware? Like, what's the population of the state of Delaware? I have no idea. Sounds about right. I'm very Northeast ignorant. I've obviously been to New York City a bunch of times, but that's like about it. Only Boston twice. I have not ventured to the north. When you're from the Midwest, outside of New York City, the Northeast is not that appealing. It's more so the coasts, beaches, nice weather, less traffic. Shout out Anthony. Second straight stream I've watched with a lot of Delaware talk. I promise this was completely unintentional, but if you missed it at the beginning, there was apparently 1 million people in here who are like 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", giants in the chat, and we also stumbled into that with Delaware. What's up with tall people and Delaware people in the best ball world? Bizarre. All right, I'm putting the we're in round 18. I'm about to come back on the clock. I'm putting the Google Sheet in the chat one more time. If you're hanging out here and you would like to win a free ticket, all you got, it's free. We're going to spin the wheel with everybody's name who entered on that Google Sheet at the end of this draft, and you will get a chance to win a $20 ticket into the Drafters main event. We are about to go with a bunch of wide receivers. Look at this, Io Manor. God damn, it's like when it all comes together, it feels so good. This team is certainly not going to win the tournament because it never goes how you hope it would. But Chargers mega stack, Titans mega stack. Got a couple guys I'm honestly a little bit underweight on that I don't know if that's appropriate. Especially on drafters. Like if I'm into Tyreek, I think being so underweight on Jalen Waddle's probably wrong. Same thing. I'm into the Lions being underweight on Sam Laporta is probably wrong. But I think this team came together quite nicely. I have to decide if I'm still actually quite weak at running back. If I take another shot at running back and keep this to a 7 wide receiver team. What's up, Benny? Good morning at almost 8 p.m. local time here. From New York. Oh, hold on. Let me make this pick. I do really kind of think. I do really think that a 8th running back is pretty appropriate on this team, but let's put our boy Sean Tucker on there. But Anthony says from NYC, but the ex-girl. Oh, okay. The ex. So, did you go to the University of Delaware to follow your girlfriend, or did you meet her at the University of Delaware? Like, did you go there on your own, or were you guys already dating and then you went there? We're gonna put your feet to the fire here on this one. Yeah, that's funny. From Jersey. What the hell is? I don't even know what the Nelson Ledges are in Ohio. I haven't been to Ohio very many times in my life. But Nashville, I've been to Nashville about. When I first started working for Roto Grinders, the Roto Grinders headquarters are in Nashville. So I've been to Nashville, and I was going at least once a month when I first started a decade ago. So I've been to Nashville like a million times. A lot of so at least we're getting away from from the Delaware talk into the Jersey talk. Happy Friday night. It's a slice of heaven campground to do drugs at a music festival. Cheers. Madison signed with the Dolphins in March and haven't heard anyone talk about it. Do we think there's any chance he carves it? Definitely. I think the Ollie Gordon stuff is silly right now. I do think Jalen Wright has a pretty clear head start on Alexander Madison behind Devon Achane. But I think the Madison thing was like, let's sign somebody who is a break glass in case of emergency back. And that is Alexander Madison to a T. So if something goes wrong in the Miami backfield, you're not going to love Alexander Madison. And so I'm not even necessarily saying we want to draft him, because on one hand, the Dolphins do manufacture running back points, but also it's Alexander Madison. It would be a bad situation if he's the guy. But I think he could be like the cockroach, right? The hindrance to other guys having fantasy value. That's definitely possible. All right. This just worked out so perfect. I feel really terrible typing DK into the draft, or into the search bar, but we have to draft Chimere DK onto this team, build the perfect mega stack team of all time. No one has built. I'm an American, so as you know, this is the most beautiful mega stack team you've ever seen. No one knows more about mega stack teams than I do. This is the most beautiful mega stack team that's ever happened. But nonetheless, Justin Herbert and Cam Ward at quarterback, Amari and Hampton to go with our mega stack team of the Chargers, and Tony Pollard with the Tennessee Titans, which we did not know was going to be a double mega stack team. But if the Chargers and the Titans are good on offense and outperform expectation, this team is going to rock. Zach Charbonnet, Ramondre Stevenson, Trey Benson, Jarquez Hunter, Justice Hill, and Sean Tucker. I actually really like the blend of that running back room for this kind of like quasi zero running back team. Take 8 running backs because I have a bunch of superstar wide receivers, right? Malik Neighbors, Lab McConkey, Marvin Harrison, Jalen Waddle, Trey Harris, Alec Eilmanor, and Chimere DK. And then Sam Laporta, Isaiah Likely, and Chig Okonkwo, right? Chig to get me a little extra Titan stuff. Unfortunately, Delu, we'll sauce you next week. We no more sauce today. We're gonna. It's Friday night. I gotta go hang out with the wife. But I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we're gonna spin this wheel. We're gonna give away a free ticket to the drafters. Why the hell is this not working? Keyboard's not working. Let's get this. Let's go to share this wheel. Clear. Can I clear it? Remove. Oh no. Okay, this one doesn't work. This one doesn't work very well. Here's the deal. For whatever reason, my keyboard just died. We're going to give away 2 tickets on Sunday morning. Come back Sunday morning with Rob Coakley, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're giving away 2 free tickets. I'll be there. I'll make sure that we get all the free tickets given out that we just promised you guys. I apologize for the hindrance, but thank you for joining me. Have a happy Friday. Have a happy weekend, and I'll cheer you guys. I'll see you guys Monday. We got a new show coming on Monday. We'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.